Hello, this is Pastor Roland, checking in to see how you're doing. Today I want to talk about spiritual direction. I did a poll on my website and I found out that by far people are coming for guidance. They're looking for guidance. Well, that's what I've been doing for 25 years. My radio program has been on all over the country, and it is now. And I talk to people about um, about what it is that's messing them up. And usually it begins with simple things like resentment. Resenting your mom, resenting your dad, resenting your husband, resenting your wife, you see. And judgment and anger, see? And then just the basic fact that most people, 99% of people, get upset too easily. When you get upset, angry, excited, nervous, impatient, see, whatever word you want to put on it, when you get upset, it does all kinds of bad things, especially to your spiritual life. So, I also discovered that with the help of meditation, a special meditation, a spiritual meditation, one that helps you refine your calm center of dignity, from which can flow patience, understanding. See, that's what you need. Patience, understanding. When you're disconnected from your center of dignity, then there's no flow. Okay? Now, a lot of us try to work on ourselves. We try to make ourselves nice. We try to make ourselves more loving. Try to make ourselves into better people. Okay? But, you see, what you need is to be made into a better person. What you need um, is to be upgraded and to have patience flow through you. Okay? Now, the only person who can do that is God. See, He made you, and He's a lot smarter than you. So that's what you need. But getting to God, that's a big deal. Okay? It's a big deal. But fortunately, it's possible with His help. If you don't put up roadblocks, for example, pride. See, pride. So we're naturally prideful. Okay? I didn't mean to go into this spiritual discussion here. I wanted to talk about spiritual direction and the services that I have, but this is an opportunity. See, we're born with a kernel of pride. We inherit it from Adam. See, that was his problem. He turned his back on intuition, what he knew in his heart. What he wordlessly knew in his heart, he turned his back on that. And instead he chose what? Knowledge. Why? Because by cutting himself off from God, then he was on his own, and then he thought with knowledge he could then prove something or be a big somebody. Well, don't we all think that? You think, well, if I get more knowledge, see, more degrees, more something or other. So people are always looking for some kind of knowledge to make it big, to get rich, or to gain in stature and get promotions and power and lord it over other people. See, you see what I mean? All right. Not to mention that pride, what's the emotion of pride? Resentment. See, now a lot of people never make it, most people never make it big. And those people who do, they're not happy with what they get because of what they had to do to get it, or because they haven't changed, see? So they just become more prideful, more greedy. See, we're either growing. Um, see, the soul is always growing. So you're either growing better or you're growing worse. So if you're going the route of pride and will and huffing and puffing, and then you just become more prideful, more greedy, more avarice, more lustful. See? And you deteriorate. At the same time, you become more of an animal. See? More animal. Some people find that out. They devote their life to intellectual pursuits, and when they get older, they find themselves to be, frankly, rather base. Okay? They may be surprised because that wasn't their intention. So what you have to understand is we inherit a fallen nature with pride. So what we need is what we need is correction. That's what we need. Correction from our prideful state. And then we need help in somehow upgrading. We need a new nature. See, that's why Christ said, unless a person is born again, he or she cannot enter into the kingdom of God. Well, being born again means having a new nature. See, which God can give you. He'll give you back. So you become like Adam before he fell. Okay? And then even beyond that. Okay, so let's talk about spiritual direction. So, like I said, I did a poll, and I've done polls before, and it keeps coming back. People are looking for guidance. Okay? Now, so what can I do? So here's what I can do. I solved the problem. I have, okay, meditation. I have several meditations. They're all good. But the one that I talk about a lot is called the easy meditation. I also call it the prayer meditation because it helps you with your prayer life. So for the purposes of this video, since we're talking about spiritual guidance, let's talk about the prayer meditation. It's very simple. You can learn it in 5 minutes. And what it does is it helps you to become centered. It helps you to refine your calm center of dignity. Okay? It helps you get out of your imagination. See, you can't find God in imagination. You can't find God in thinking. You find God in the present moment, in reality. See, when you're not lost in thinking, when you're not lost in imagination, that's where you find God. Okay? That's where He is. And then you can realize His light. You see, His light can then enter. When you're not lost, when you're not hiding in your imagination, and you're down there in your thoughts, when you're not hiding down there, then you have access to His light. And His light shines upon things and makes everything clear. See, just like 1 + 1 = 2. You don't have to memorize it because you can see it. You see that 1 + 1 = 2. Okay? You just see it. And you know that 1 + 1 = 2. No one can ever change your mind on that one because you just see that it is. Well, in a similar manner. See, God gives humans intuition. He gives animals instinct. So you have intuition. So what you need to do is to relearn how to use your intuition. You were close to it when you were a little child. You have to refine your intuition. Learn to trust it and learn to interpret its delicate, wordless guidance. Okay? It's always there. See, kind of like a gentle background music, maybe you could say a gentle music. It's there, but it's quiet. And it's what you know in your heart is right. Okay? So that's your intuition. So you need to get close to it again. Now what's happened to you is that you've run from it because it became conscious. See, when you don't follow your intuition, when you don't allow it to be your guide moment by moment, step by step, when you don't always check with your intuition, and instead you listen to other people and everything else, see, and you listen to the tricky voice of your imagination, which you think is you, but is not you, and you doubt your intuition and don't pay attention to it, then you make mistakes. And then afterwards, your intuition is still there, but now it feels like conscience. It's 20/20 hindsight. Instead of foresight, now it becomes hindsight. And you don't like it because it makes you feel bad. So what you need to do is to learn some of these basic things that, okay, intuition is your closest link to God. You must become still. You must learn how to go in your room, close the door, sit in a chair, and become still. And how to stand back from your thoughts. Okay? How to stand back from, yes, from thoughts. They pull you in. See, they pull you in and they carry you away. Where you start imagining what you're going to do. You have all kinds of thoughts, okay? But they're not reality. And they're not your friend. What are they doing? They're pulling you away from the present, from God's presence in the present. So you have to learn how to deal with them properly, which is just to observe them, stand back and observe them. Well, this is what the meditation helps you to do. So, a lot of people around the world could use some guidance. But you see, what people tend to come to me with is, it's a rare person that comes and says, I want to get closer to God. Well, people sometimes say, I need help with my prayer life. Okay? But otherwise, mostly it's people saying, my boyfriend this, and my girlfriend that, and this issue, and I need a job, and things like that, which are valid concerns. There's no question. But you see, that's not really what I'm best at. I mean, I'm good at that, but what you need is, you might as well get the best, okay? And the best is to use my meditation so you can become centered and calm down, and then and then begin to see things more clearly. And now, without being upset, without being resentful, and now seeing things in the light, now you can begin to exercise some understanding in your life and some patience. See, that would be the best thing you could have. And that's what I can help you with because of my meditation. So then, let's say you start practicing my meditation. Then at the same time, you'll be naturally interested, okay, in watching some of my lectures, YouTube lectures, and also listen to my radio program from the radio archives. And things will begin to start to become clear. Oh, you'll say, I get it, I see. Okay, and you'll begin to see how you've been messing up, what mistakes you've been making, mostly being upset and being resentful. Then, now with your mind clear, and now closer to your intuition, okay, then you can begin to understand, like some of my books, for example. See, if you come to me right now and you say, my boyfriend is this and that, or my girlfriend is this and that, and you're all upset, and and you're just all focused on this one thing, you hung up on that, then you could pick up one of my books and it wouldn't do you any good. You wouldn't even understand it. You wouldn't be able to read it. But if you calm down and get centered and begin to, what do they talk about? Some people are majoring in the minors. Minors, but that's what you're doing. You're majoring in the minors, or you're so fixated on the trees that you can't see the forest. Some expressions like that. So whatever your issue is now, whatever your issue is now, financial, health, your job, your relationships are not so good, your maybe health issues, family issues, mental and emotional issues, whatever your issues are now. Okay, if you would spend 1/100th the amount of time that you're now spending worrying about those, if you spent that time sitting still and using my meditation, see, that would be time very well spent. So now, guidance, or I like to call spiritual direction. That's a wonderful term, and I'm going to begin to use it more and more. See, a spiritual director is not a counselor. Okay? A spiritual director is someone who helps you to refine your rapport with God, to find God, to get closer to God, and to begin to walk. See, in other words, not just reading about God or not just reading about religion, but begin to live it. Your spiritual director gives you some clues on how to do that. See, that's what I've been doing in this video, in case you haven't noticed. You could watch this video again and again and again, and you'd see many, many clues. You'd see your own life, say, oh, I get it, I'm resentful. Oh, I'm resenting my husband. Oh, I see, I'm upset, I'm angry. You see what I mean? You'd begin to see those. And you would see the need to exercise patience, the need not to be angry. And you would see the need to meditate. So then you would begin to meditate, and then you could, and like I said, watch some of my videos, listen to my radio program. You could read some of my books. Now I want to say something else about spiritual direction. Very interesting. There's a book called The Spiritual Guide. It was written by Miguel de Molinos. He lived in the 1600s. It's a very beautiful book. It's a spiritual classic. It's called The Spiritual Guide. Okay? And he says in his book that contemplative prayer, see, where you get closer to God, and it's more of a being in God's presence. It's being still, in the presence. Okay? It's not reading and studying. It's being in God's presence. He says that anybody can do that. He says that you don't have to be a monk in a monastery. You be a regular person, a shop clerk, an accountant, an electrician, a student. Okay, which I agree with that. That's what my meditation helps you do. So you can, after you meditate, then you take that meditative state out into the world. And you still do everything. You still have friends and recreation and work and go to school and everything. But now you have that with you. St. Francis de Sales. A lot of you know St. Francis de Sales. He wrote a beautiful book called An Introduction to the Devout Life. And he says the same thing. When you read it, he's talking about practical tips for dealing with in the workplace and the family, and things like that. Because you can lead the spiritual life out in the world. Okay. Madame Jeanne Guyon. Many of you know her. She wrote Practicing a Short and Easy Method of Prayer. It's called in French. I can't remember the English title right now, but it's very well known, Madame Guyon. And she also, at the beginning of her book, she says, who can practice this being in quiet and in God's presence? She said, anyone. See? So that's very much the way I am. That's what I think. So, but I also think that you need to use you need the help of the meditation to get you started. That's what you need. You need the help of the meditation, and then a little bit of guidance from me. Okay. Now, what seems to work is that people will stumble on me. They'll listen to me, for example. They'll listen to my radio program, and they'll like where I'm coming from, and then they'll try the meditation. And then they'll read some of my books, for example, or articles. And then there's a little sticking point, or something they don't get, or an issue in their lives that they need help with. Then they contact me. Then I can talk to them by email, by live chat, by telephone, by Skype. Okay? Okay, so now you see how wonderful what I have is. You don't have to get in touch with me right away and start reading a bunch of stuff or anything. You watch some of my video, listen to my radio program a little bit, try the meditation, and start doing the meditation. Okay? That may be all you need. You may not need to talk to me. Remember, the point is to reconnect with God. See, once you do that, then you've got it made. That's all you need. So if I can help you to transfer your allegiance now to the world and your fixation on the world and everything, if I can get you to transfer that to God within, then my job is done. You see? So now you see there are people all over the world. Some people can afford a little something to help me to stay on the air because I don't work for a church. I buy the airtime myself, the internet time, okay, the airtime on the radio, it's expensive. I buy it myself. I pay for it myself. So some people can help me a little bit, but some people can't. There are people in the world who cannot afford anything. They honestly can't afford anything. Now do you see that I have it available for free? The meditation, my articles, my blog posts, okay, free, okay? And I even make myself available to help people a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit with live chat. If they seem sincere and I can help them, I will. So there you are. If you were to start meditating, and if you were to start to begin to see things in God's light of truth, then you become centered and you become more objective. Then you could read some of my books. For example, Becoming a Friend of God. Becoming a Friend of God is such a nice book. It's a very nice book. It talks about what blocks us from finding God. Emotions, resentment, anger, resenting our father, for example. Then I have this book here. This is excellent. It's called, let me turn it so it's not so bright. An Introduction to Stress Management. Very good. It's only about 60 pages. I talk about it in psychological terms, okay? Not so much spiritual, but in psychological. I talk about stress, what stress is, and how you can deal with stress better. Then, of course, I have this book here, which is called A Weekend with Einstein and Augustine. This is a really nice book. Several chapters on Albert Einstein and how he used his intuition. And then chapters on St. Augustine, who loved God, okay? And he found God through his conscience, which is the same thing as intuition, okay? Albert Einstein, intuition, St. Augustine, conscience, okay? Then I have this book here, which is called A Guide, A Guide to True Peace Revisited. I edited this book. It's a republishing of a beautiful book that was written. It's in the public domain, A Guide to True Peace, with writings of Madame Guyon, Francois Fenelon, and Miguel de Molinos. Some of their writings are in here, excerpts, just beautiful. So you could read these books, okay? And you can look inside of them at Amazon for free. You know how you can look inside? So now I've given you a lot of information. And I hope you take advantage of the resources that I have available. My name is Pastor Roland.